Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 28 of the Steam Deck podcast. It's Flip Screen Games weekly podcast all about Valve's hot new handheld, the Steam Deck. I'm your host this week, Stephen Radford, and I'm joined, as always, by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Max Wright.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Hello, how are you doing, Max?
I'm doing well. I've just had a thought about this intro. We say hot new handheld, and it's like a year old now, right?
Yeah.
Are we going to keep hot new handheld? Are we going to stick with it?
I think so. Next week, we will be doing a special on 1 year of the Steam Deck, and I want to do a bit of a reflection on it. So if anyone has any questions or thoughts or anything that they want to talk about, any anecdotes from the last year, then please do write in either in the comments on YouTube, questions@flipscreen.games, or join the Discord. Those are the best places you can send it over.
Always happening there. Maybe we could start referring to it like you do a baby, and we refer to it in months. Like, oh yeah, it's our 12-month-old Steam Deck, it's our 13-month-old Steam Deck. Can we just do that?
I think after 18 months, they stopped doing that though, and it's just like, okay, fuck it, we'll go for years now.
It's walking now, innit? So it doesn't matter. If your Steam Deck does start walking after 18 months, call the police or something like that. There's something going on.
Well, speaking of walking, we're going to walk right into this episode, and we're going to talk about the Steam sales and fests that are coming up. We've got a bit of a follow-up on the SSDs that we spoke about last week, some new features that Valve have added to the latest beta version, and CryoUtilities has released his version 2 of CryoUtilities, and I want to talk about that because I've given it a bit of a go, and it's a massive improvement. I want to give him a bit of a shout out and make sure everyone knows about this, because I kind of see it as a bit of a must install for anyone that owns a Steam Deck. But first things first, Valve, as they do every single year, they've released a full comprehensive list of all of the sales and fests coming to Steam this year. So at the moment we're in the middle of Mystery Fest, and that runs until February 27th. That's all about like mystery adventure games. One of my favorite games of last year, Case of the Golden Idol, is included in Mystery Fest. So be sure to check that one out if you've been waiting for a sale on it, because I don't think it's going to go on sale very often, being a bit of a fresh game. But the next big sale we've got coming up is the spring sale, March 16th to March 23rd. Then we've got the summer sale in June 29th to July 13th. The autumn sale in November from November 21st to 28th. And then the winter sale in December 21st until January 4th. We've got a bunch of other fests in between, like Puzzle Fest, Sports Fest. They've listed out the dates for next fest in June and in October. And I'll put a link in the description to all of to Valve's post about this, so you can check out all of the dates if there's any in particular you want to keep an eye on. But I think, like, probably the same as you, Max, any game that you're kind of remotely interested in, I kind of I wishlist it, and then if it comes on sale, it'll notify me.
Yeah, I generally, I don't even know these things are happening half the time, unless it's the big, it's the summer sale, and that's when I'll start actually digging and looking for games. But generally, other than X Fest, where there's things I want to sort of try out, not that I did this year because Metro Prime Remastered came out, but I often, I'll just wishlist things and I'll just hope for the best. Like, even games that aren't out yet, I'll just wishlist them, and then at some point, like, oh, that game's out, oh cool, and it's already on sale because I forgot about it. But I'm looking at this mystery sale. You've got Return of the Obra Dinn 50% off, Pentiment's 25% off. What Remains of Edith Finch. So there's some good stuff here. It's £8 for Heavy Rain. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, you can just yell again, Sean. You can do it for free outside.
Jason. These are all games that aren't on my wish list, though, so I never would have sort of known that they were happening. But I didn't know they reveal them all like that. Like, they reveal like a big list for the year. I thought it was just like, oh damn, they're doing a anime fest out of nowhere, and there's all the anime
it's really
games
cool. And I think part of it is for developers, so they can get involved, so they can see, we're planning like a shoot 'em up fest. So it's just like, I've got a game coming out around that time. We'll release it within that window so it can be included in the fest. But I also think it's good for people buying games, because it takes the surprise out of it. Like, oh, surprise, there's a game on sale now. And it's just like, if I know that there's a game I want, and I know the next sale isn't until March 16th, well, I might as well buy it now if I'm going to play it now, rather than waiting.
Yeah, I hate when I buy a game and I see it's on sale immediately after. Generally, I get lucky with that, because I often either don't buy games on launch, or I will get them from somewhere like CD Keys where it generally is cheaper. But there have been times where I've bought a game, I'll be like, okay, fine, I've got FOMO, everyone's playing it, or I've waited long enough, nothing else to play, and I'll end up getting screwed over by myself really, because I didn't know they did this sort of thing. But yeah, enjoy. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head of anything I'm generally looking for right now.
No,
I get into such a backlog.
I get into a bit of. Usually when these things happen, I end up just buying it because it's on sale and I think I'm going to play it. But I'm stopping myself doing that this year just because I ended up with such a huge backlog last year that if I've not got time to play it there and then, I'm not going to play it. I've still not finished Hi-Fi Rush because I was playing Hitman Freelancer because IO sent us a key and I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. And it's like there's just so much going on. We've got the Persona 5 game club that we're doing that I'm still behind on. So there's just a lot that we're kind of juggling at the moment.
I bought a lot of stuff in that winter sale, and I don't think I finished any of it. And I've still not, I've not really dug that deep into Dead Space. I've just been, when Metroid Prime Remaster came out, it's just got me in like I'm going to play every Metroid game, and I'm 3 down so far. Considering I didn't beat a game until that game came out, I always have this thing. I don't know if you have this ever, but like the start of the year, last few years, I've just been like, meh, I'm not, I'll start something and I'll go, yeah, that's not really grabbing me. And then a big release comes out, like last year it was Elden Ring, and that will just kickstart me, and I will just be rolling.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably talk about Elden Ring this week on Flip Screen Games podcast because it's sold 20 million copies now.
We will. It's on the list. Don't you worry about that. It's on the list.
Pretty crazy stuff. Before we move on to some of the big features that have been revealed this week, I wanted to do a bit of a follow-up. We spoke about the 2 terabyte SSDs last week, and I think it was from Micron. And iFixit have now come to the rescue with some kits over on iFixit.com. I'll put a link to these in the description. You can buy either the SSDs on their own. You can buy a 512 gigabyte, 1 terabyte, or 2 terabyte. The 2 terabytes are sadly out of stock at the moment. They got snapped up really quickly.
Oh yeah, really quick.
You can buy either the drive on its own, or you can buy a Steam Deck upgrade kit. Now, what I didn't realize when we were talking about the upgrade process last week was it is a little more in depth than we spoke about, which was just like, pull the drive out and put it back in. There's like one more step that you have to do. First, you have to unscrew a shielding off of it, but it also comes. The SSD itself has like a tin foil shroud around it that you just like sort of wraps around, and you can either carefully peel off the shroud off of the existing drive, or as part of the kit, which also comes with picks to open up the case safely, a screwdriver, and the screwdriver with the correct bits that you need, and tweezers. It also comes with that shroud, so you can just put that on the SSD and you don't have to worry about it. I think what's the price difference between it is like it's $5, so
yeah,
you might as well buy the kit.
Well, what's interesting about that is that since we've been talking, not only have they sold 2 more of the 1 terabyte since we were talking about this earlier, there's also none of the upgrade kits are actually in stock. You can only buy the drives as they are.
Okay. They were definitely in stock when I looked before and I was doing the show notes. So I guess they've been snapped up.
They've been snapped. I mean, I'm sure they'll come back in. Maybe when they see that this is obviously a seller, they'll probably do more of them. But yeah, people are really ravenous to get more storage in their Steam Deck, and that makes sense considering, you can double the size of your Steam Deck. For relatively cheaply, I guess. I mean,
or if you bought like a 64 gigabyte model, this is a really great upgrade because not only do you get the faster storage, but you've also got that like vastly increased capacity. Yep. And one of the utilities we'll talk about a little later on in CryoUtilities is increasing the swap file size, which does take up capacity on the disk itself. So disk space can become a little bit precious.
You did a video on that, didn't you? The swap files and things like that.
I did do a video on the swap files. I'm going to link to Cryobyte's official video on version 2.0 because he goes into great detail on swap files. But I did do a video about like kind of replicating Xbox's quick resume feature. Basically, you can swap between games by using a Decky plugin called Pause Games. Which will basically suspend it in memory, and because you've got a larger swap file, it dumps it out to a swap file, and then you can switch between 2 games. So if you've got like a big game on the go, you can kind of swap between that big game and then like a smaller title that you're playing. Or I was using it to swap between Vampire Survivors and Days Gone, I think.
And with no performance issues either way, right? Because of that swap file you put in
because
there,
the swap file has dumped it all off. All the resources are then allocated back to the game that you're playing. It's really cool.
Very clever. If people haven't seen that video, I'm sure Steve will link it down below. But it's very. I was impressed. I was very impressed with what you did and what you were able to do with the two tools. But I don't know if were they developed in conjunction or have you just put them together and.
No, they're completely independent things. So CryoUtilities put his tools together with the swap files, and then the Pause game plugin was developed independently. It was designed initially for games that don't suspend and don't have a suspend feature, aren't able to pause. Something like Marvel's Midnight Suns, right? Where you can't pause the cutscenes at all. You could use the pause game functionality, pull it up in the menu, and you can hit the pause button, and it'll suspend the game exactly where it is. Basically,
Dark Souls and Elden Ring jump to mind, where you cannot pause any of those games. You just have to. If you do pause, you're still completely.
Yeah, that's a good
weak.
That's a good example as well. I didn't really think about Elden Ring. I think that's because I haven't played it on Steam Deck. I was playing that on Xbox. But quick resume for that was useless because whenever you rebooted it, it kicked you back out to the
probably
screen.
because you can't pause it in any way you can. I think there was a way you could pause. There was like a glitch that you could do to pause it, but I think they patched that one out. So
yeah, it's really annoying. Before we move on to talk about local game transfers, the new beta version, and CryoUtilities, I want to thank our Patreon producers for the month of February. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valenz, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Asobi, Wakahula, Snack Hugo, and Ty the Dude. Of course, you can join the wonderful collection of names and faces by visiting patreon.com/flipscreengames. There you'll find our exclusive podcast. One More Thing. I think it's called One More Thing. I don't know, mind blank. One More Thing, where we talk about things other than video games. And we're going to have a bit of an update for patrons soon as to why there's not been any episodes. If you've been keeping up in the Discord, you'll know that there's a reason. We're not just ignoring you all. And of course, you can visit our website, flipscreen.games. Find out everywhere we are around the web. Twitter, I think that's it. Twitter,
Mastodon.
Mastodon. We are on Mastodon. Flipscreen.social. If you want to join us over on Mastodon, where there's a bunch of listeners over on Mastodon. I know that because I've interacted with you. So yeah, come and follow us over on Mastodon. Flipscreen.social as well. Are you on Mastodon yet, Max?
I'm literally just about to create an account.
There you go. Well, I'll have to verify you, but yeah, I will approve you. You can just sign up as Max. You can be Max at flipscreen.social.
I'm a big fan of your latest Masto, whatever the hell you call them, about Lent. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, did you? Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah. That was a banger.
Didn't laugh because I'm performing. We're currently in performance, but I just know I appreciated it internally.
Good. I'm really glad. Something I think you'll also appreciate, Max, is the new local game network transfers feature that is coming or has already come to the beta version of Steam OS or the Steam client. Valve tweeted on their official On Deck account, and this was literally last week as I think we were recording. So a bunch of you may already know about this. And they said, hello, we've just shipped a beta update to Steam and Steam Deck that includes a new feature, local network game transfers. This allows Steam users to install games directly from one PC to another over a local network without having to download and install from the internet. Local network game transfers are great for Steam Deck owners, multi-user Steam households, dorms, LAN parties, etc. No need to worry about bandwidth or data caps when all the files you need are already nearby. And this is an absolute slam dunk feature for someone like you, Max, where you've got a gaming PC and then you want to take that game on the go on your Steam Deck, right?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, initially when I first saw this, I was like, well, like, what is there that what uses do I have? But you're right. I very often will, play a game somewhere and then play a game somewhere else. And I feel like just being able to transfer the two over my local network as opposed to having to re-download it from the internet is great. And if let's say you have like an internet issue at home and you can't play certain games, you might want to tether to your phone and just put the game onto your Steam Deck. I don't know if it would be much faster, but saves you having to download it twice, saves if you have like a bandwidth limit or anything like that. This is something I might try out just to see if it's faster, because then I can just sort of download it onto my PC once and then, leave it overnight on the Steam Deck or whatever. And yeah, I can see this being a handy feature. It sort of reminds me, do you remember when the Switch did, you could do, I've never used it, but you could update your game from another person's console. So if you've got
I do remember that. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, if you got to like a Smash tournament and you were like, oh, I'm actually out of date. Crap, I forgot to update it. Or there's a patch for Fortnite. Oh no, you can just go, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just you can just have it off my system.
Well, I think that's what's also really great about this feature as well, right? If someone comes over to your house, Max, with their Steam Deck and you've got a game that they're interested in, they can download the files from your PC. And just have it. It doesn't work currently from Steam Deck to PC. It's either PC to PC or PC to Steam Deck, but I think they are working on being able to swap between Steam Decks, which is really cool. And I think the speed, when you try it out, is probably going to be significantly increased. They say you can transfer a game up to 100 megabytes per second, and that is 800 megabits per second. So unless you've got a really fast internet connection, you're probably going to be able to transfer over your local network pretty quickly. I know the Steam Deck doesn't have Wi-Fi 6 in it, so it may be limited by that. But I think you should be able to get near to 100 megabytes per second. In the screenshot they have, they're showing someone transferring Half-Life 2 at around 70 megabytes per second. So yeah, it seems really cool. I like the functionality. I like the feature. I like that they're still pushing this kind of thing. It would have been nice, I think, to have had this considered sooner, but I like that it's not just restricted to your own library, because I think if it was just, it's a limited use case then. It's like, oh yeah, I've got the game installed on my PC and I also want to take it on my Steam Deck, but to be able to transfer it to other people's libraries if they own the game is I think, really game-changing.
Yeah. They mentioned, they made a point here of it being for LAN parties, which is great. My manager at work, he often goes like on a annual is what I'm looking for there. Annual like trip with his friends. They all sort of meet up, all his friends online, and they'll play games. And he spent a long time in the build up to that. One of his friends was coming over from Ireland, so he had like a spare PC for him, and it took him 2 days to download all of those sort of games that they needed for that. Just be able to sort of like get there and then start transferring them locally. It would be great.
Yeah, you just have like one host PC that's got all of them installed, pre-installed, ready, and then everyone kind of connects their decks or their PCs up to it, and it just like disseminates the data across the network. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. I just also want to point out that also in the update, I know you're going to say some other stuff, but also they've added a loading throbber. Don't know what that means. It's just a great word.
Oh, so the throbber is I only know this because I worked on the Decky plugin for the boot screen animations, animation changer, and the throbber is the animation that goes like this. That doesn't have like a loading wheel around it. It like sort of pulses the Steam icon. So that throbber comes up so that it doesn't look like nothing's happening, because they have no idea how long it's going to take in order to.
Why did they go with the word throbber? Because it just sounds like if you told me you had a throbber, I'd be like, all right, Steve, like that's a bit too much information.
Yeah, I've stubbed my toe, Max. It's throbbing. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Then you feel really sorry for me.
Don't bring up your toes, because I've just requested to join Mastodon specifically to, as I've said in the request, look at your toes. So
okay, cool. Yep, I'll be banning that account then. Yep, definitely. A few other features came to the beta update, and there's a couple I want to highlight especially. They've added obviously a bunch of stuff like they always do. And in the latest one, they've made some changes to Steam input, and I want to try these out myself, but I don't have an Xbox wireless adapter. I don't know if you've got one, Max.
I do have one.
Can you please try this for me if you've got a Steam Deck dock or a dongle or something?
I do. I have all these things. Talk to me. Tell me what you need
so they've added the Xbox Enhanced Features driver. If you go into Big Picture mode now, you can install and uninstall Windows Xbox Enhanced Features driver to the new Big Picture controller settings. And then from here, you can do a bunch of things. And they've added specifically support for the Xbox Series X controller connected via the Xbox wireless adapter. Now, what I really want to know is if it will boot the Steam Deck when I hold down the Xbox button and connects to the
Oh,
wireless adapter. Because I know the 8-bit DO controller, the like 8-bit DO Ultimate Super Duper controller with the Hall effect sticks, will not do that with the dongle because the dongle's not like powered. But the only controller that does do it is the Steam controller, the original Steam controller, and I keep it around for two purposes. One, to turn my Steam Deck on when I'm across the room and I'm too lazy to get up off the sofa to turn it on and I want to play Hi-Fi Rush or something else. And two, for playing games that do not have any kind of controller support, like the little indie horror games that I play all the time. They never have controller support. They're very much focused on mouse, and the Steam controller is perfect for that. But I'd love to be able to turn it on with an Xbox controller, and if I can do that with the Xbox wireless adapter, I will buy one.
I will do this for you, but know that I have zero use for this other than doing it for you because I never dock it and I have no reason to dock it. But I will do it for you to test for you, just to help you with your purchase.
I'd love to kind of solve this problem. I've been putting together a bit of a video, and I'm figuring out how I want to frame it. But basically, I'm acquiring a load of controllers and figuring out which one my favorite is. And like I need to get a Stadia controller. That's next on my list to pick up. I had one, I sold it, and now they're really expensive because you can actually use them for something.
As a controller, they're rare now as well. Okay, so I can do that for you.
So yeah, I'd love to know if they've added that functionality. That would be great. I think a lot of people would be happy with that. It was one of the things that I specifically called out in our doc review, was that made it clear that the Steam Deck is not really a console, right? Because the Xbox, the PS4, the PS5, the Switch can all turn on remotely with a controller, and the Steam Deck is the kind of one outlier that can't. Even a PC can be turned on remotely with like a mouse. You just wiggle it and it'll wake up from standby. But because I think it's battery powered, they've specifically turned that functionality off. I even tried hacking around it with going into like the power settings and all sorts of things, and I was able to turn it off, but you can't turn it on. There is like a way to turn it on remotely over the network, because if you have Ethernet, because it will turn on through Ethernet, but it won't turn on through Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi radios get turned off.
Thing about the Steam Deck in sleep mode is it might as well be turned off. You know, you can't install games to it. You can't you can't set a game to install remotely. You can't leave a game running like to install in the background. Like you have to have the thing on.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish they would add, like an option in, like when it's plugged in. Give me like a power option to say, even if it's in like the power menu, right? Where rather than it's like standby, it's like, you know, sleep or continue downloading or something, or suspend.
Yeah, the Steam Deck doesn't. Either the Switch can do it. I don't even think it has to be necessarily plugged in. I'm pretty sure I've had it like sitting in my bag once, and I'd buy a game on a sale on the website, and then it would just, you know, by the time I get to it in my bag, it's installed. Well, if I'm at work or something where it's on the Wi-Fi, obviously.
Yeah, I know the Steam Deck specifically turns off all of the radio, so it turns off the Wi-Fi, it turns off the Bluetooth. So it's the reason why you can't boot it up with a Bluetooth controller. It's why I kind of am hoping that the Windows or Xbox controller wireless adapter will do it, because it's plugged into the dock, it's plugged into a USB port. And hopefully that just like then acts as a power signal, because I think you can do it with some USB mouse and keyboards as well, that it will boot up from a mouse and keyboard if you kind of jiggle it or press a button. So hopefully it kind of replicates that functionality. I'd be interested to know. So hopefully if you can try that this week and report back if you are able to install the beta.
Tell me what I need to do, exactly what I need to do, and I will do it.
Okay. I will.
But do it idiot proof, like bullet point it for me. In a similar way that you're going to have to idiot proof and bullet point CryoUtilities 2.0 for me, because I still, even after you've explained it to me before, I'm sure, have no idea what this is.
So CryoUtilities, have you installed CryoUtilities before?
I have not.
So CryoUtilities is a script written by CryoBite33, a fellow YouTuber. Go check out his channel. Carl does some really great in-depth performance tweak videos for a bunch of games. And he put together this script called CryoUtilities, formerly known as Steam Deck Utilities. And it was just like a command line script, and you downloaded it and installed it, and it would then allow you to change a bunch of things. So initially it was change the swap file size and change the swappiness amount. That's all it did. And the swap file size is initially set on the Steam Deck at 1 gigabyte. So there's not really much capacity for the Steam Deck to dump stuff to a swap file. And the swappiness was set really low, so it wouldn't utilize that swap file. So Carl changed it and made a script so you could change it and came up with some recommended stuff. Version 2.0 is an absolutely massive update, and now has a full GUI around it. There's a one-click button where you can just allow him to set the recommended settings that he recommends, and I highly recommend you just go with what he says if you don't know what you're doing, because it will give you performance improvements. And he's got a great video that I'm going to link to in the description where you can see he gets between 5 and 10% performance improvements on all games. He was playing, I think it was Tomb Raider on high settings at 30 frames per second. You can get some really good performance out of the Steam Deck with these changes. And I imagine Valve will include some of these in at some point. But there's some additions on here that it now does. So there's memory parameter tuning with huge pages toggle, compaction proactiveness changer, huge page defragmentation toggle. Do you remember having to defrag your PC back in like the Windows 98 era? Well, it will do that now. Page lock unfairness changer, shared memory toggle. If you don't know what any of this is, that's fine. A lot of it goes over my head, but Carl's video will go into full detail on it. The storage manager, though, I think is something that a lot of people are going to find useful, especially if they are on one of the smaller capacity Steam Decks, like the 64 gigabyte one, or even the 256 gigabyte model that I've got. So you can sync the shader cache and the compat data to the same location where the game is installed, which will give you some performance improvements. So if you installed the game on your micro SD card, by default, Steam will keep the shader cache and the compat data on the internal drive, unless it runs out of space, and then it will put it onto the micro SD card. You can sync where it is, and so it's easier for the game to find it. But
that's just a one-click. Is that just
a
one-click,
and it will do it automatically. It will tell you what games it's going to do and where it's going to move it, and you can choose not to. There's also the ability to delete shader cache and combat data for whichever games you select, and it'll tell you games that are installed and games that are uninstalled. So if you've uninstalled a bunch of games, a bunch of data is left behind. And you'll see this in your storage settings on your Steam Deck, that there's like a big blue bar. It's like other, and you're not sure what it is. And the only way to delete it at the moment is to manually delete it, go into the folders and do it. So CryoUtilities...
I do think there is actually a thing, but you can't pick and choose. You literally just say,
it's like delete all of
shaders.
It. Yeah, it's completely
which I've done before, and then exactly.
And then it's got to compile all the shaders again and store them, and it's a pain in the ass, Whereas CryoUtilities now has a feature to delete the shader cache for the games that you select. So it will just go in and delete the folder. So I had a bunch of games that I'd installed, some demos from Next Fest, some games that I completed or just tried out and uninstalled, stuff that my partner was playing on there, like American Truck Simulator. And I just went through, ticked all the games that I wasn't using, and saved gigabytes of space. Just deleted the shaders, completely cleared it out, and it was really, 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 really impressive. So everyone go check out CryoUtilities. It's a one-click install now, so it's literally download a file, drag it onto your desktop, double-click it, and it will complete the whole process, install it, and then there's a one-click do the performance stuff if you want to.
I'm going to do this as soon as we finish recording, because this does sound great. It sounds like a sponsor thing. I'm going to, as soon as we come off this, I'm going to give this a go, because just a 10 to 15% boost. What does it do for battery life and power and stuff like that? Or is it more of a drain, or is it just optimization?
There's no real downsides to it from what I can tell. In CryoUtilities 2.0's announcement video, Carl does discuss some of the kind of FAQs and misinformation, and there's an FAQ page on the GitHub page that I will include in the description. And some people say that it does affect certain games in a negative way, and there are potentially some downsides. But I've not seen it myself in any games that I've said. The argument that I think most people make is that for games that only use a single core, it's not very good. But that's only if you do one tweak, like if you tweak the swap file size, but not the swappiness size, then it can be detrimental. At least that's what Carl says in the video. But I've had no issues. It's improved performance for me. That and the BIOS tweak to I think it's up the GPU RAM allocation really improved a bunch of games, which was cool.
Cool. I'll definitely give this a go as soon as I get off this. Not that I want to leave, obviously. I love talking about these things with you.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to touch on before we close out is just I know you said that a bunch of games have also received like official support for Steam Deck this week. So I think one of them was what's it? Dead Space, right? How are you getting on with Dead Space?
Yeah, I played some of it on PC, and then I hit an issue where I was trying to play it like with my girlfriend as like an audience member. You know, she likes horror movies a lot, and I was like, hey, I can play this game while you're here, and I don't have to worry about like that I'm taking up too much time playing games when I should be spending time with you because you're watching a horror movie. Cool. And then after sort of the second or third time I did this, so I'm probably like an hour and a half in at this point, the sound just gave up on PC. And the only way to make it work is if I play with headphones, which doesn't work as a shared game. I think I'm going to get back to it once I've sort of got this Metroid thing out of the way. I've got that and Hi-Fi Rush are like firmly on the I need to play these games as soon as possible list.
Are you playing the Metroid games on Steam Deck?
Swapping between. So I'm playing Metroid. I play Metroid Zero Mission on the Steam Deck right now because it's not. If they're on the Switch, I'll play them on the Switch. So I played Super Metroid on the Switch, Metroid Prime Remastered. I've got Metroid Samus Returns waiting for me on Citra to get to play on Steam Deck. So I'm going to sort of do sort of bits and bobs between both. Probably play Metroid Fusion on the Steam Deck too.
Have you ever played another Metroid 2 remake? Like I've been meaning
I played
play
it on
that.
I played it on PC and it's great. It's like because at the time the newest 2D Metroid game was Zero Mission, and that was sort of the pinnacle. And this is in many ways better than that because it does a lot of like things that they have added into that game, like being able to immediately transform into a ball. They had more buttons to use. They didn't just have two buttons here, a D-pad and then two LNRs. They had all these buttons for you to do different things. My only issue with that game is it is still Metroid 2, and it is still very much stuck in that Metroid 2. There's a very specific sort of path you have to take. It's all very much a similar you have to go to each area, kill all the Metroids, and move on to the next area kind of thing. Which I think Samus Returns improved, but AM2R is a very great, fan-made game, and I'm glad they got to release it before they even, before Nintendo shut them down. So
yeah, I had it installed on my Steam Deck before I sent it in for an RMA, and then when it came back, I completely forgot about it, and now that Metroid Prime Remastered is out, and Metroid's kind of back on my brain because it was around the time when I'd finished Metroid Dread not that long ago, and the Steam Deck came out, and I was like, oh, I played Metroid Fusion, let's play another Metroid 2 remake, let's give that a go. Because I think the 3DS version of that game, I think, was pretty well received, wasn't it?
Samus Returns, yeah, I thought it was great. It was sort of a good foundation for what Dread later became. I've not been able to play the remake for a couple of years now because someone broke my 3DS and never replaced it. So I'm going to give that like another playthrough on the Steam Deck, and maybe even at the best performance I can possibly have with CryoUtilities. So
yeah, CryoUtilities is really great. That I think emulation, the biggest thing that will help you is power tools and being able to shut down some of the cores. And I know we spoke last week about potentially Valve adding in either automatic SMT toggling, or they're adding like a toggle to the performance menu. I think when they add that in, I think it's really going to be something that more people will take advantage of and realize, because installing Decky and installing the plugins and having them break all the time and whenever Valve updates something is annoying. It's been really annoying for me. There's plugins I've worked on that just don't work anymore because they're waiting updates, waiting approval by the Decky team, and it becomes a real pain. So I'd like if we did like a bit of a wish list. I'd like official plugin support, but they're still adding and breaking things all the time, and I think an SMT toggle would be really cool. I could also see a bunch of the CryoUtility stuff getting built in at some point, like being able to change the swap file size, or them just picking a larger swap file size in general. I do wonder why they went for 1 GB. It probably has something to do with that 64 gig model. I think if that one didn't exist, it probably would have been
a lot of space.
Yeah, I think it probably would have been 16.
You also need to make something like that kind of user friendly too. So I wonder if there's like a how do we do it so people know exactly what it is and what it does? How do we let them know what each of them does? Because you might be able to have like 3 settings where you have a slightly larger one that they call certain things, just so you sort of know what you're getting into. But like the Steam Deck is an evolving platform in more than any other system I've ever used. So
yes, it really is like a living, breathing thing. For me, the only thing I'm playing at the moment on Steam Deck is Hi-Fi Rush, as well as streaming a bunch of Hitman Freelancer from my Xbox. I'm having such a good time with that game, and Hitman is so at home on the Steam Deck. It's perfect to be able to like jump in, play a level. I have Hitman 1 like natively on Steam. I think I'm probably going to end up picking up Hitman World of Assassination now that it's out. And we did like a bit of a mini review of the new Freelancer mode and Hitman World of Assassination, what it gives you on last week's Flip Screen Games podcast. So go check that out if you haven't already. But basically it's like a new roguelike mode that's come to Hitman, which is just phenomenal. The more I play it, the more I fall in love with it. And I need to get Hitman on Steam, because when I go away, I want to be able to take that with me, and I know I won't be able to.
Wherever you are.
Yeah, the only pain is I wish there was more games with cross-platform, cross-progression, because I know that I'm going to have to start Freelancer all over again, and I'm going to end up with nothing, and no areas in the safe house unlocked when I replay it on Steam. It's the reason I've not played Elden Ring on my Steam Deck, because I've got like a big save on Xbox. To be honest, I should probably just restart that, because there's no way I'm going to be able to go back and...
Yeah, how are you going to remember how to play it all?
No, I had the same issue with Hi-Fi Rush. I was like, shit, what's the parry button? What's the button to like hook onto things? What's the button to shoot people? Because that game's one of those ones that just keeps firing things at you. It's just like, here's another mechanic, and I'm just like, yeah, I know, but I've gone away for like 2 weeks and I've forgotten how to play this thing now, and I'm in the middle of like a boss battle.
This is why I generally do try and avoid sort of, if I'm playing a game, I'm playing it to finish it. And I generally don't like flip-flopping between games for that reason. Like, even when I was, the other day, I was sort of like playing Super Metroid on my Switch, and then I was sort of like, okay, cool, let me just quickly see if Zero Mission or how that works on the Steam Deck. And I kept swapping between them and just forgetting all the buttons for them, and I'm like, if I was just playing the one game, I'd be good at these games, not just naff. So.
Yeah, I know, it's a real pain. I really wish more games would have just like a quick like recap tutorial, so you could go. I know you can do that in Elden Ring, like you can go back to the start area and it'll teach you everything again if you want to, which is really cool. But yeah, I think that'll end today's show. It's been a good one. Big features coming to the Steam Deck all the time, which I love. But Max, please do some homework. Check out that local game network transfers and the Xbox wireless adapter.
Homework? I didn't even do homework when I was 15, let alone nearly 30. But all right, I'll see what I can do for you.
Yeah, it'd be great to know next week if those features do exactly what I want them to, which I'm sure they don't, but we'll find out. But as always, don't forget to check out our website, flipscreen.games, where you can find out everywhere we are on the web, including Mastodon now, flipscreen.social, if you want to come and join a community of nerdy gamers like me and Max that love Steam Deck, and I post a lot of things about bread and baking, so if you're into that as well, I'm over there on Mastodon, and I'm a good follow always. But anyway, as always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Don't forget to tell everyone about us, come and join our Discord, send us questions, you know the drill. Visit our Patreon at patreon.com/flipscreengames, and we shall see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.